All right. Hello. I am just hanging up from Nikki. Welcome, everybody. Nikki was just on the phone with me because she's having some technical difficulties, but she's going to get it right together and she'll be on. I am Dr. Maya Green, also known as Dr. Maya 100, because I keep it 100 on your health. And welcome to Couch Conversations with the Doctors. I want to thank the Congressman, Representative Danny K. Davis, sorry, for creating this. Congressman Davis created this for during a time when we needed it, for other reasons, for other stressors in life, and a place to come together and look. We're still needing those safe spaces, and he created it at a time when COVID was out. So when we couldn't get together physically, we can get together virtually, and here we are with the opportunity to virtually fellowship. I'm so thankful for my colleague, Dr. Dr. Douglas Graham. Nikki usually has something super fancy to say. What I will tell you about Dr. Graham and then let him introduce himself is that I am on my way to going warmer weather for the winter and coming back when it's warmer. And that's what he does. But I'm glad he's with us today. Dr. Douglas, do you want to, or Dr. Graham, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dr. 100. Like you, I think it's a real pleasure and honor to be here. I'm a retired physician. I spent 30 years working in the western suburbs, and after retirement, was able to join the congressman in his office as a fellow. And you learn a lot about community service, about public health, and how hard it is to get things done in Washington, D.C. I must tell you, some of the stuff you see in television doesn't really show you how hard his staff works to take care of his constituents. All I can say is I was there, I saw it happen in a number of different spheres. So it's a real treat to be here, and we're going to try and answer your questions as best we can.
Absolutely. Congressman Davis, got any words for us as we open up today?
Well, let me thank both of you for being with us. And let me thank all of those who are interested enough in health, not only their individual health, but in health as a commodity
Mm-hmm.
that everybody needs, everybody can use. And, it's really been great for me working in healthcare for the long period of time that I've been engaged. And I know that there are people who, you know, I get a lot of good remarks from people about the work that we've done in corrections, in reentry, in criminal justice reform, and especially those who know the value of what is called second chances, and how there are just hundreds of thousands of people in our country and even millions who need a second shot and a second chance. But I must tell you, working in the health arena and whatever it is that I may have done, whatever it is that I may have been involved with, whatever I do in child welfare, whatever I do in areas that are not necessarily the most popular in the world, it always gets back around to health in terms of learning what health really means and learning something almost every day that relate in one way or the other to what I call the notion of being healthy. What does being healthy really mean from an individual vantage point? And that no matter how much technology we got, no matter how great the institutions are, I mean, we are in Chicago. If anybody does not know it, they should know it, that we are a health mecca in terms of health facilities. Many of the top institutions in the world are in Chicago. Are in Chicago. We see them almost every day. We pretty much take them for granted. And yet we're not as healthy as I think we need to be, can be, and should be. No matter who we are, we get sick. We have good days and we have bad days. So I thought it would be great if we just chatted this evening about what does it really mean to be healthy? I mean, what is being healthy? So, doctors, could
Thank you
you
so
all
much.
tell
Yeah.
tell us
So
what
thank you so
that
much. As you know, oh, Dr. Graham, go ahead.
Well, Dr. 100, why don't you start because I'm still formulating my thoughts because I think there are many different ways to go in this situation, many different directions to head.
There are, and wellness looks different for everybody, Dr.
Sure.
Graham. So you're right. It is, and it's more than just your health numbers, your glucose, your blood pressure, things like that. So to be healthy usually focuses on what's happening in the medical industry. To be well focuses on the biopsychosocial wholeness of a person and what that looks like. In fact, August is National Wellness Awareness. It was started in 2018 and has since grown to focus on mind, body, soul. This year's campaign is I Choose Wellness, and it's encouraging people to choose because the literature shows that the wellness habits that a person chooses themselves last longer and have a greater impact than the one your doctor or someone else is going to choose or recommend for you because only you know kind of what your life looks like, what's feasible, what's not feasible. You certainly work with your healthcare team to kind of push the needle, to support you in any area, but I Choose Wellness, encouraging you to choose, is this year's National Wellness Month campaign. That campaign asks people to choose something in August, and it's August 24th. It's not too late because you choose something that's going to go the entire year. So you got almost 300, 30 something days ahead to the next opportunity to choose the next one, right? And here's some numbers you can use. Chronic disease is the leading cause of illness in the United States, and it drives much of the nation's 5.3 trillion in annual healthcare spending. In 2023, roughly 194 million American adults reported at least one ongoing chronic condition. About 6 in 10 young adults, about 8 in 10 midlife adults, and 9 in 10 older adults reported having at least one chronic disease. Among young adults, prevalence rose 7 percentages with chronic diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, those type of things, depression, those and anxiety. And I mean, we're right in the middle off the heels of COVID, so that explains a lot of it. And most preventable chronic diseases trace back to a short list of factors. You ready for them? Poor nutrition, taking not healthy things in, physical inactivity, not letting, poor nutrition, taking bad energy food in, limited physical activity, not finding good ways to let energy out, and excessive alcohol use. And then the last one was smoking. Those four factors determine much of the chronic disease in America. All right, so we're here to talk about national wellness. I look at wellness as more than just your health scores, but it's your holistic pattern. Wellness is a state of being, mind, body, soul. If we talk medicine and health, that is your glucose. What is the number? Is your high blood pressure? What is the number? And those numbers are important. The main driver of those numbers are your total wellness, how you handle those four things I just mentioned. Dr. Graham, you want to chime in or should I
Well,
keep going?
I just want to echo that because I was just thinking that you can have a normal blood sugar, a normal cholesterol, and yet you can still be unhealthy. You can
Mm-hmm.
have unhealthy habits. You could be
Mm-hmm.
drinking too much. You could be smoking. You could have unhealthy habits socially. So
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of things that go into good health because I think good health also means that you should have good relationships with your neighbors and the people in your community and your family. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's not possible because sometimes the other side isn't great. But I would think that that would be a characteristic that if it were possible, I'd think about that as good health.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely 100% about healthy foods. One of the problems that we have is we have a food industry that's determined to sell you products, and they do studies to know what will trap you or addict you in terms of salt and sugar, but we don't have an industry that's there necessarily provide you the healthiest products. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing about combustible stuff. We now have fruit flavored vapes. Well, the fruit isn't healthy, the flavoring isn't healthy, the habit's not healthy. There's nothing you can do to make that healthy. I'm with you on exercise. Sometimes I think we carry it a little bit too far. Not everyone's going to be a triathlete. Not everyone's going to be able to play a professional sport, but being able to use those muscles and healthy will be to use them in a healthy manner and have health as a product, not going out there and trying to show how much you can lift and tear something or rip something or herniate a disc. So I think there's got to be some kind of thing that says this is supposed to help you feel better so that you can do more. So that's how I think about health. You should feel as healthy as well as you can so that you can do as much as you want and not be limited because you're tired, not be limited because you can't breathe. You shouldn't be limited by some of those things because of your health.
Well,
And
sometimes
Mhm.
I feel, like just trying to make a decision about
Mhm.
what you might eat for breakfast. And there are days when I'd really love to have, some pancakes and a good bit of bacon. And I think about, I'm not supposed to eat this. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I can't eat this and be true to
Mm-hmm.
knowing what I should and what I shouldn't do. Now, I do better when I'm in Washington because there is a cafeteria under my office, and I can go down there and get some, oatmeal and spice it up a little bit and
Mhm.
put a little stuff. And I never did like oatmeal, but I eat it when I'm there. When I'm in Chicago, I can't find some oatmeal for breakfast. I probably could if I searched real hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will often just skip breakfast altogether because I can't think of what I can eat that fits my diet or
Yep.
what I need to eat. But I like all these things, biscuits, gravy. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to just couldn't wake up early enough to get to them. I still can't. And of course, I cheat every once in a while, probably more than I should. But just having the discipline to do that is not easy. Not for me. Maybe easy for others.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
I admit that I struggle with it.
mm-hmm. So, and the literature shows, like you said, a lot of health is based on what's available in the area around you. That's why they can trace a lot of health factors down to the zip code you live in. That zip code can be encouraging, and sometimes that zip code can present some barriers depending on the structure and design and what's available. So, here are some facts. 74% of adults believe that chronic disease is preventable, but only 25% feel very confident that they know how to care for their own health and they can use their surroundings. 65% say they've delayed or even skipped something for health because it felt overwhelming and expensive. In fact, when it comes to making good nutrition health choices, 96% believe that good nutrition prevents chronic disease. Only 30% of people say they personally eat very healthy. In fact, 42% say that healthy food costs either too much or is not available in their immediate surroundings. So, and then we have half of the nation feeling generally confused about health guidance at this point in time in the U.S. So those are just some facts, kind of dovetailing on what you're saying, Congressman, and then dovetailing on what Dr. Graham was saying, which is a lot of times that's by design. People study what will keep us in addiction. Things like sugar. I don't know if y'all remember when I first joined. Dr. Mason used to get on me all the time about those gummy bears and sweet things and things like that. And so I had to work hard, like you said, Congressman Davis, to make that change. And so it's not only you, Congressman, it's me and so many people out there that I have to mentally make those changes and be intentional about them because, as Congressman Davis has said, health, in fact, is wealth.
Well,
So
it's good to know I'm not the only one.
I want to say I'm in this crowd too because I've never met a chip I don't like.
Yeah.
And the worst thing for me is to bring home one of those big bags of Doritos because it won't last a day. But the second part of that is I know how I feel the next day.
Yeah.
So I kind of fall in the Tony Hampton school of thought is I don't want to be strict with everybody because one size doesn't fit all, but it does make sense to pay attention to how you feel after you've eaten something, see whether
Yep.
you feel better or not. So I'm kind of with the congressman. There are things that I know I probably shouldn't have that are good for me. My job is to make sure I don't eat them daily or weekly. And every now and then I can probably give myself a taste, but understand that's the consequences of what happens if I do it too much or too often. I also want to support Dr. May about the amount of information that's out there that's confusing. One of the guests a few weeks ago asked about a diet for lupus, and I went online to look from three different expert sources. I
Hmm.
got three different answers,
Oh, wow.
completely different answers. So I understand how difficult it is to get really, really valuable and useful information to guide you. I also agree with Dr. Meyer that we have food deserts. There
Yes.
are places where you can't get healthy food. I
Yep.
mean, you can get all the fast food you want, unfortunately, and that's probably the unhealthiest for you. And that's the problem is people are motivated to sell the stuff because they make a lot of money.
Hmm.
They're not motivated to take care of the health injury that they cause as a result of it.
Yeah.
There's no accountability, unfortunately. There's just profitability, but not accountability.
Hmm.
Well, you
Hmm.
know, things have become so expensive
Oh
in a
yeah.
real sense. I mean, when people talk about cost of living
Hmm.
and whether or not I wonder how it is that especially some low income families actually make it off of what if you look at what average income is. For example, in my district, our district right here, take the average senior citizen. Um, the average Social Security income is about $20,000 a year. The average for this area, this district, is about 10,000.
Wow.
And there are a large number of people who get less than that. I mean, I know so many seniors who say they only get $800-900. That's what their Social Security check is, and that's all the money that they see in a month. That's it.
Hmm.
They don't see another penny. They don't see another dime, another quarter. That's it. I'm talking about absolutely it. I was talking to a well-known gospel singer and minister the other week, and he was just telling me that he got $900 a month. That was it.
Hmm.
That's what he gets and must live on. And of course, there are thousands of people in the hood. That's it. And so, if people talking about what the problems and issues are and concerns are,
Mm-hmm.
I think this cost of living and the cost of things is just a big deal. And anybody who tell me that they don't believe in some form of socialistic activity to help provide what those individuals need to live,
Yeah.
they can take their politics someplace else.
You want me to tell them where?
Bring the
So I just want to say that it doesn't seem like this particular administration and the majority party wish to address this in any means that I can think of. Every bit of evidence I can see means that they're trying to make this worse instead of better. I also think that health is really a very sensible economic policy
Mm-hmm.
because it costs less to keep people healthy than to take care of them when they're sick. You
Mm-hmm.
have fewer lost days from work and more productivity and less violence when people are healthy than when they are sick. So, if we're really looking at a true public policy and not a personal policy, it would make sense to invest in health and not necessarily invest in Bitcoin or ballrooms or arches. But that's just the way I see it.
or you'd rather throw this food away than give it away. I'm,
Well,
I'm
but I also understand the farmers are in trouble because they can't get fertilizer. All of their costs are going up, and so they have nowhere to turn. They can't produce more. They don't have the capacity to produce more because of the cost of things. So we probably have one of the most unhealthy public policies one could possibly imagine without an immediate remedy in sight. We can vote, but boy, oh boy, there's going to have to be a lot of heavy lifting after just voting to help create the health systems that we had. One of the things I learned in the congressman's office that really amazed me was some of these benefits that were cut means that children, when they go to school, don't get fed. I cannot possibly see how a child can learn if
Mm-hmm.
they're hungry and starving. How can they absorb and utilize knowledge with hunger pains and the illness that goes along with being hungry? So, number one, if you want a productive population, hey, people who work and contribute to society, they got to get educated, and get educated, they got to get fed. Yet that doesn't seem to be the equation that's operating today in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And so I said that the only remedy that I see is for everyone to vote and vote in a particular way that gives us the opportunity to start to change the way that we're investing our resources or the way that we're um, not doing things to right the ship.
Yeah.
We can't achieve health without it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, these are, you know, I come from a group of various people with various outtakes on life, and they talk all the time about, oh, I don't do politics. And I don't know if we, you know, we've been saying this for a lot of times on this show. If you don't do politics, then politics will start doing you, you know? And it's one of the things that we see. I'm talking to some people now. And they're, complaining about the cost of gas, complaining about the cost of food, and also, if you haven't noticed, the lack of food on the shelf. I remember when I was a kid, and you go to the grocery store, you could not see the shelf. It was so much food on those shelves. Now you go, you can see the shelf. I went to go get some greens the other week, and not only could I see the shelf where the collard greens were, for the first time. It's been going on for a little while, but not only could I see the shelf, but the pickings of the greens weren't as fresh as historically they have been. So some of the quality, and the amounts have gone down, and that ties into what you were saying, Dr. Graham. So I tell people all the time, now we have, for us, politics doing us. And some of us, it's time to kind of own up. And some of us actually voted for this, you know, and it's not too late, because coming up really soon and all throughout the country, kind of in these primaries, but also coming up really soon in midterms, is our chance to make that right. One of the things that, and it's costing us our health, right? We have the most infections of not only ourselves but food, and people getting all kinds of infections off the ill standards that have come with food and everything. But you know what? I know Nikki's gonna give me a final do this. Let me stop and say hello to Sandrell Scott. Thank you for joining. And to Angela Underwood, thank you for joining. We are talking about what wellness means. And we are talking about the fact that August is National Wellness Month. And wellness is not just your blood pressure score, which, as you see, for a lot of us, is going up because of the things that are going on. And it's not just your level of glucose or anything like that, but it's your holistic wellness, right? And you have a chance to change some of the things we talked about. So the congressman mentioned earlier, Dr. Graham mentioned earlier, a lot of this, and the CDC actually, fun fact, notes that a lot of people can't move their health because the determinants of their health are outside of that person's sphere, meaning some groups are more important, quote from the CDC. Plainly, some groups are more affected because of factors that limit their ability to make healthy choices. A zip code, also from the CDC, zip code level analyses show many risk factors sit outside of an individual's control, and according to the CDC, quote, require policy change to address. So many health factors sit outside of an individual's control, and they actually require policy changes to address. And so you got to start getting involved. You have to vote. You don't have to wait till the midterms to vote. You can vote every day with your dollar, right? Where you shop, how you handle what you have, and then looking at sometimes, even with your dollars, what's around you doesn't support. Then it's time to take it to the polls. Then it's time to contact your elected officials and demand change for this country from people who are serving us. Yep.
So I want to add just a couple other things. I know in this earlier broadcast, I talked about going to farmers markets. When I was in Chicago recently this summer, I went to farmers markets. They weren't inexpensive at all. So I really hear what the congressman is saying is, how are people going to pay for their food? How are they going to pay for their gas? I just think I don't see how you can do it in $800, $900 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the other issue that I see is we have a slogan, a campaign, Make America Healthy Again. Yet when the Kaiser Foundation looked at that, there's absolutely nothing in that campaign that will make us healthy again. In fact, it'll just do the reverse. So that's part of the problem is people have been attracted to these slogans and these promises, yet none of those slogans deliver. None of the promises deliver. They're only going to take us backwards rather than forwards towards better health.
Yeah.
It's a real national tragedy.
And I guess some of these things don't necessarily only relate to, say, the cost of things. For example, I notice that sometimes my blood pressure may go up because the person wouldn't let me change lane
Well,
on the Eisenhower Expressway.
Yeah.
but this is what I'm talking about. When resources are maldistributed, the way they're maldistributed now, there definitely will be more tension, more
Yep.
competition, more stress, more use of alcohol, more use of drugs. This is about the most, this is not an investment in health, it's an investment in ill health. And the question I have is, who voted for this? How many people consciously and were aware of this when they voted in the elections?
Yep.
They
Yep.
bought the slogans. They didn't look at the results or the
Yep.
consequences of the slogans.
So I guess we say that you can't always control what goes on around you,
Mhm.
but you can determine how you respond or react to it. And
Or
Mm-hmm.
what you'll do in the future.
yeah, you're not in charge of controlling behavior
Mhm.
of others who
Yeah.
might irritate you to the nth degree. But if you can figure out how to handle it,
Mm-hmm.
then you're helping yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, one of the things that helps with that. So I love what's being said. One of the things we see when times food is scarce, resources are getting more and more scarce, the frustration, we may be tempted to have that frustration out on the person who cut us off, or sometimes our family and friends. Right now, it's even more important that we hold our family and friends near and dear, and we treat our tribe with a whole bunch of love, a whole bunch of grace, and a whole bunch of respect, and that we each individually watch how we handle each other, because it's just so important to handle each other with respect, love, and grace in a world where we get these constant pressures that encourage people to be down. It's just that important how we show up for each other right now. Number one. The other thing I wanted to say about what everyone was saying is, again, if you haven't heard it, it's
Mhm.
time to figure out how you're going to vote, where you're going to vote, who you're voting for, and get to know who are the people that are leading the charge to make things better for the communities we live in, create better availability of those healthy things in our community, you know, and support us emotionally, physically, for all the way from the parks to the exam rooms, all those things. Look into it. Don't wait. And I tell a lot of people, if you can learn all the lyrics to all these songs out here, you can figure out who's voting for you, and you can figure out which Congress people are actually voting against you. You know, there are all kinds of resources out there that you can look for yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to tell you.
And if you think it doesn't matter, I just look at the fact that in the state of Michigan, a Muslim, in terms of a
Mm-hmm.
fellow whose faith is a little different in terms of how people worship and what they worship and how they worship. And so the gentleman is a Muslim who is now one of the primary candidates for senator in that state. And I don't know that we've had any practice in Muslims, to my knowledge, in the United States Senate, which may mean that some changes are still available to occur. And there's an African American fella in Wisconsin who is one of the primary candidates now for governor. And of course, there's only one African American in this country who is a governor. But the fact that there might become two, I mean, that represents some significant movement depending on how people evaluate things
Mm-hmm.
and evaluate the history of what this country has been in terms of who is in place to make these public decisions that we all rely upon as having a tremendous amount to do with the quality of life that we have the opportunities to live. And so whoever says that, there's backward effort, but there are also some forward ones too. And
Mm-hmm.
so you gotta keep believing
Mm-hmm.
that things matter and that they do in fact make a difference. And if you look at the history of this country, that was a time when you didn't hardly find any female physicians.
Yeah.
That you don't find enough now, but there was a time when you had a first,
Mm-hmm.
and there's still opportunities for a lot of firsts to occur in this country. And so we keep being and becoming and doing what it takes to create a first, a first. There are a lot of opportunities for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to add to that because I've heard both of these individuals speak. And I think that's really critical is to hear them, to hear their thinking and to hear their plans. And you should be able to put some fingers over your eyes so that you don't pay attention to what they look like, but you really want to hear what their thought processes are and not
Mm-hmm.
let a preconceived notion of because they're X or Y determine how what their decision making is going to be like. I'm impressed with both candidates in terms of the hardships that they've endured, their perseverance and their determination, and their ability to produce the results that we're not getting now.
Yep.
On the other side of that, we have a number of candidates who are running for public office who have very questionable backgrounds, who've been accused of, and perhaps not convicted of, a number of things that would make you think twice about inviting them to a family party or into your church or into your social club, because this isn't the kind of conduct that you'd be very close to. So I think that we have to use all of our senses. We have to look, we have to listen, and then we have to think about this and say, is this the person we want representing me to solve our problems in these offices? I think it's to me very exciting to think about having a Muslim being elected in office because, quite frankly, I think we've heard a lot from one side. We haven't heard enough from some of the other sides as well. We've had the same story being told over and over again. I think it'd be interesting to hear what the other stories are and to see whether or not they're more workable than the one that we've heard.
And I say that while it may not be a first, but I had collard greens from my garden,
Hmm.
Come on.
from my garden in
Mm-hmm.
my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that's
that goes back to the idea that Dr. Maya says is that we have choices.
Pretty
mm-hmm.
soon I'm going to have some tomatoes.
Mhm.
Come on, tomatoes.
Yeah, yeah, they're coming. And so it won't be long before I can go out and pluck and
Mm-hmm.
get one. So
And
things. occur.
Hmm. And if you have space to grow, that may be an option. I know a lot of people looking into that. Your favorite, start with your favorite thing, you know. And speaking of what to start with, we are coming to the end of this hour. Let me make sure because I don't want Nikki to get me. Make sure that I said, okay, Angela Underwood, I want to answer that one. What do you think about the mental stress of people? And, oh, Angela, what do you think about the mental stress of people in Gary, Indiana, based on what's going on there? I don't know if you want to start, Dr. Graham, Congressman Davis.
Well, I mean, all I can say is it is a very difficult set of circumstances. Um, it must be stressful. And I
Yeah.
don't know that we've had the right response to this. It just
Mm-hmm.
seems like the responses that we used to have been undermined or underfunded. We're
Mm-hmm.
not having the same responses that we used to have. And I think we have to have different standards. You
Mm.
know, this cannot be the standard that we propose
Mm-hmm.
and elect for our elected officials.
Mm-hmm.
We really have to have some kind of mechanism to see that if you are trying to hold public office, that you really have the public interest at heart and not your own economic benefit first, second, and third.
Yeah.
Well, I got a little thing I read called Anyway,
Okay.
and it just kind of says that things don't go the way you want them to go, but keep pushing them anyway. People often don't respond the way you'd like for them to respond, but keep doing what you do anyway. And so if one can develop an approach of knowing that you may have done good and somebody else describes it as being bad, keep
Mm-hmm.
doing good anyway. And I guess folks at church, they don't let nobody steal your joy,
Mm-hmm.
and don't let non-believers prevent you from doing the best that you can do to improve whatever situations that exist. And I think that helps keep your stress level down. You know, person didn't respond. They didn't say thank you. They didn't acknowledge, or this, I did all of this stuff and nothing happened. Do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best I can think of trying to handle stress levels.
Hmm.
I, I would agree with that, but I also like to think about the long term. Like you say, we can't change this immediately, but we want to think about what we want in the future and work toward it. And one of the things that just really impressed me is I heard somebody who was a great investor. He said, I'm not trying to get rich quick. I'm trying to get rich slowly. And nobody wants to do it, yet his track record was better than everyone else's. And
Hmm.
so, as much as I'd like to change all these things quickly, I understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take determination, to perseverance. You got to stick with it in order to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Oh, I just saw Nikki's comment. I said Nikki's gonna get me if I don't do these things. So she's not online, but she's definitely in the Facebook comments. She said I'm correct. She will get me if I. All right, Nikki. I love what the congressman said, and a message for until next Monday. That encouragement just to keep going, and that encouragement. Fun fact: a lot of wellness. There's literature that shows that hope is one of the strongest determining factors of wellness. Your mindset and how you train your mind to perceive things, and also what you do about things when you're not getting it. So I'm not just saying just sit back and train your mind to accept anything. The times to do policy changing, the times to grow your own food, the times to do all of that is always, there and available. I got some good ideas about what to do for maybe people who I'll connect about what to do for people who can't afford like seeds and things like that. This may be a time to think about that. But um, and the things that you do to keep yourself in control where you are, mind, body, soul. So until next Monday, I'll start off. I'll just leave, and until next Monday, I like to pick one healthy change that I know, activity that I know I'm gonna do. I'm not a runner. I'm not a weightlifter. I do love to dance. So I actively look for dance classes. I'm trying to get, if you know anybody, Congressman, I'm trying to get into the Chicago Heights Park District footwork class. I signed up a day too late, and they won't let me in the footwork class. And so, but definitely our footwork, I'll do that. And so that's one healthy activity for me that I will do. But as far as activity, pick something you know you're going to do. It doesn't have to be the standard walking or running or what everybody else is doing. Move your body the way you want to move your body and advance that. And until next Monday. Dr. Graham?
So I just want to echo what you said about hope, and
Mm-hmm.
that hope is healthy, and we have to keep hope alive. We have to think about what our choices that we make on a day to day. I like trying something new every week, and then we make choices when we go to the polls. And those
Mm-hmm.
are all things that we can do to work towards future good health.
Baby, one of the things you can exercise is your
Yeah,
right to
that's right.
your body and your right to vote. And then Congressman Davis.
Let me tell you, over the weekend, I went to Waukegan, Illinois on Saturday to participate in sort of a black poetry fest.
Hmm.
And of course, State Senator Adrian Johnson, who is a poet and a writer, was there, and so was the mayor of Waukegan, Mayor Sam West, and Representative Rita Mayfield was represented. And we just had ourselves a great time out in the middle of the street. Um, they did some chair dancing, his kids did, where you put 10 chairs out and you have 11 people,
Musical chairs. Mm-hmm.
and somebody will miss a chair until the last person. It was just a great event and a great expression of possibility and of hope and of people doing things. And matter of fact, I think I did about 7 or 8 things on Saturday because a lot of people have block club parties. I went to a bunch of those and went to 2 or 3 events where the mayor was there and, doing the gig and doing the jig and cutting ribbons. And it's just an expression of people out doing things and being engaged, having fun, eating, barbecue. They, you still do a little, but they had some cucumbers and stuff also.
Mm-hmm.
But it was such a great weekend
Mm-hmm.
until it renewed my feeling that things are happening and that people do believe that rather than getting worse, things can get better. And I take the position that all things are possible if you only believe. And so believing is step one, that your health can be what you want your health to be. And I know there's a good friend of mine, a fellow we call JJ, who's in Northwestern, and I just want to believe JJ, and I know that friends of his kind of watch this activity every week. Just keep believing that JJ is going to be all right. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you so much.
have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Monday. All right.